Feel like you're being pulled in 1,000 directions? Let's fix that. Download your free rebalancing toolkit and learn how to design an optimized week that lets you feel like you have it all. Get the goods at brilliantbalance.net/have-it-all.
I'm Cherylanne Skolnicki, and this is Brilliant Balance, the show for working women who are ready to shine. Each week, I bring you ideas, inspiration, and insight on balance, business, and getting it all done gracefully. You ready? Let's be brilliant. Hello and welcome. This is episode 37 of the Brilliant Balance podcast. And today we are talking about how to make the first hour of your day really count. And as we record this, I'm actually today at the end of my day. I almost always record these in the morning, but today it's near the end of my day. And I've been thinking back on how the day unfolded. And the truth is that it unfolded almost exactly the way that I planned. And I'm looking ahead to tomorrow, thinking about what I have on the list for tomorrow, kind of bringing closure to today, wrapping up what projects are going to get finished and which things are going to carry forward, and getting ready to transition into time with my family for the evening. And it's really a good precipice from which I think to have this discussion, because that's sort of the angle I want to talk about today. You know, I want to really spend some time talking about that very first hour of your day and how your morning sets the tone for the whole rest of the day. Because it really does. It's something that I have a firm belief when we get this right, it pays dividends. And when we get it wrong, we really pay the price. So let's set the stage here. And I want you to think about what you typically do in the first hour of your day. You know, if I had maybe a camera in your house, what would really be happening? Would I see you roll over and hit the snooze button and snuggle back under the covers? You know, would I see you reach over and grab your phone and start scrolling through email and social media feeds before your eyes are even fully open? Would I see you, reacting to an unsettling news story that you're confronted with on your phone or on the TV? Would you hit the ground running and do things like, fold laundry that didn't get done the night before, or do dishes in the kitchen sink? Would you be feeding pets? Would you maybe step on the scale first thing? And what would your reaction be to that? Would I see you go straight into self-care, taking a shower, or, maybe doing some meditation? Would I see you sit down at your desk and do some writing, when you're fresh and when you're rested? Or do you hang out with your kids? Snuggle with your kids, or maybe you read something inspirational like your Bible or a journal or a devotional. What do you do? How do you spend that first hour of the day? And here's the first question I would be asking myself is, do you even know? Because if you don't know, if there's a lot of variability to how that first hour of the day is spent, that alone can really be a signal that there's an opportunity here to claim that hour of the day as yours. And if you do know, and things are sort of happening on autopilot, but they're happening with a sense of repetition, are you happy about the way you're spending that day? And what I know for sure, because, I just now have experience working with hundreds of women all over the country what I can tell you for sure is most of us start our day in cortisol and adrenaline overload. From the get-go. The alarm goes off and our first thought is, I'm behind. How am I going to get it all done? I see a lot of women who are really sleeping as late as possible because they're so exhausted from the night before, and then rushing around for that whole first hour trying to get themselves and everyone else out the door. And they spend any extra nanosecond on their phones freaking themselves out about all manner of things. Anything is possible when you pick that phone up. You don't know what's going to hit you. And I think we can do way better. In fact, I know we can do way better. And it's actually super important because here's the thing. That first hour of the day, you are a brand new person. until you remember what happened yesterday and you start to panic about what's going to happen today. You have this window of time. You're sort of brand new. And if you don't waste it, then you can use that very first hour to, set the stage for that day to be better than the one before. And you can do that over and over and over again. So there is no exactly right. I'm not going to give you today like the exact progression of activities that you should follow in the morning, because it's actually different for each of us. So the way that you design that first hour of the day will be unique to you, but it has to set the tone for your day. And there are some themes that help you do that. And today I'm going to share 4 things that first hour of the day needs to set the tone for. The first one is clarity. That first hour of the day can bring you clarity. This is all about knowing what you will do and having some sense of how you want to feel. Okay, when we're confused about what we will do, what do we spend that time doing? We lose all this time and all this energy to trying to figure that out. We're sort of wandering aimlessly, around the house or sitting at our desk, sort of flipping through our planner or our computer or our email, trying to decide, what am I going to do? What am I supposed to do? What should I do? What feels good to be doing? And, we've kind of skipped over this important step of planning. And I know I sound like a broken record about the plan, but I'll tell you, when we make time to get clear, right, which is really having a plan, then we can glide into the day without friction. Now, in my world, this starts the night before, right? The clarity is how I empty my mind. So as I'm wrapping up my workday, that's the first place that I mentioned this at the very opening, right? I'm bringing closure to what got completed today, what things are still open, what are the priorities for tomorrow? And that's kind of in work mode. And then at the very end of my day, I'm clearing my brain of what are the things I need to remember to do going into the next day. And I will tell you, we've probably all had this experience. You get into bed, you're finally like, okay, it's time, enough for the day. I'm going to go to sleep. And what happens? Your brain starts to clear. It's like it's clearing the cache. And all these tasks start surfacing that you'd forgotten about. Like, oh, right, I have to remember to turn off the newspaper before we go on vacation, or I have to remember to return that phone call to the orthodontist, or whatever it is. They start to surface. So absolutely a good idea to keep something next to your bed where you can just get those captured, right? Because they clear your mind so you can sleep well. And then when you wake up in the morning, you're not worried about what did I forget. It's right there next to you, okay? So this clarity practice starts the night before, okay? But if you haven't done it then it has to come first thing. And a really great place to start to define this clarity is in stillness, which I realize is antithetical to how most of us want to start the day, right? We want to hit the ground running, and I'm telling you, be in stillness. But stillness is a beautiful place to start. It's the place from which you can really seek guidance. Your spiritual practice will be unique to you. You may be sitting asking God for guidance. You may be sitting kind of touching base with your inner wisdom. You may be looking for clarity from some sense of what really is your true north. What is it that really would be of the highest and best use of your time in this day? Okay. And that becomes the basis of your plan. So I think starting at a very high level like that, what really is the highest and best use of my time, and then getting into the nitty-gritty of what are the tasks that need to get accomplished, those things together form the plan. And it's very important that that plan be prioritized, that you know exactly what you're going to do, because a lot is going to come at you within the first hour or shortly thereafter of the day. So if you come into that morning with clarity, and if you don't have it, if the very first thing you do is seek it, seek to bring clarity to your vision for the day, this is going to go a long way. Okay, now, clarity is really important, but it is nothing without this second one. The second one is integrity. So the second thing you're going to do to set the tone is you're going to stay in integrity. What does this mean? It means once you've decided what you're going to do, you do it. Okay, if you say you're going to get up at 6, you don't hit snooze. You get up at 6. If you say you're going to work out, then you get your butt to the gym. If you say you're going to make your bed before you walk out of that bedroom, you do it, right? So this integrity piece is about honoring your commitments to yourself, especially the very first few of the day, like making your bed, getting the workout in, not hitting snooze. Whatever those things are that are the very first 3 or 4 actions of the day, don't break your commitment to yourself there. Why? Because you will break that chain of integrity and you won't be able to get it back. It's like you're sending signals to your brain that your commitment didn't matter. Your plan didn't matter, right? Oh, it doesn't really matter if I get up at 5:30 or if I hit snooze until 6 or 6:30. It doesn't really matter. I said I wasn't going to get on my phone right away, but it's right here. It's okay. Who cares? It does matter. It matters because it sets up you're either in integrity or you're out of it from the beginning. And if you uphold that commitment to yourself, you get this positive hit from it, positive reinforcement that you can then use to build a chain of integrity throughout the day from minute 1. Okay. So at 2:00 in the afternoon, when you have to make the choice of, are you going to write that important memo, that important email that has to go out, or are you going to get on Pinterest? You're going to make the call to get the work done. If the choice comes down to, I said I was going to leave at 5 so that I could make dinner and eat it with my family, but somebody is standing in your office talking about something and you're feeling like torn, you're going to stay in integrity and you're going to go home. So you're going to set up that chain of integrity from minute 1. Okay. So the clarity is how you know if there's integrity. If you don't have a plan, you don't have anything to uphold. So setting that intention, getting clarity, and then upholding it kind of completes the loop the first time. That circuit gets completed, and then you can repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. Okay, so those are the first 2, clarity and then integrity.
Feel like you're being pulled in 1,000 directions? Let's fix that. Download your free rebalancing toolkit and learn how to design an optimized week that lets you feel like you have it all. Get the goods at brilliantbalance.net/have-it-all.
Now, the third tone that we want to set for the day is about energy. So whatever you do in that first hour, it should energize you. We have a natural, almost biorhythmic arc to our energy for the day. We are wired to hit the ground running. We've just had a bunch of rest if we do this right? We've had 8 hours of sleep or 7 or 6 or whatever you're managing to get in, but you've gotten rested as a machine, right? You've been recharged. As a body, you've been restored. So now physically and ideally mentally, it's like you've pressed the reset button. And that should be energizing in and of itself. So you want all of your actions in the very first hour of the day to channel that energy, okay? Couple of things that really work for this. Water, super important, because the one thing you haven't had for all those hours of sleep is any form of hydration. So you want to start off with water. It's a great way to kind of pull that energy in right from minute 1. Exercise. Classically placed at the beginning of the day because it kind of tells your body it's daytime now. It's time to be moving. We're going to remember where all these muscles are. We're going to get our heart pumping and our lungs going, and you're awake, okay? A cool to cold shower. I really did not believe this for a long time. I thought this was like dumb thing that, people on the internet were talking about. I got to tell you, if you have not done this, this is a really good thing to try. You don't have to do it for the whole shower if you don't want to, but the last minute or so of that shower, turn the water to as cold as you can make it, okay? What it does is it fires up your whole body and says, I'm awake now. It's the equivalent of like jumping into a cold pool. Really hard to not feel awake and energized after that. So you will fight it. Your brain will get this wonderful reinforcement that it can do hard things, right? You can sustain a minute of a cold shower. And then when you get out, it's this invigorating feeling of being really ready to start the day. Other things that could be energizing would be time spent with people that you love. So if your family is around, spending some time with them that's not about everybody trying to get out the door could be a very energizing activity for you, right? reading something that is uplifting or listening to a type of music that's energizing and uplifting can really set the tone for energy. So here's an important point, okay? You want to avoid friction and conflict. Obviously, avoid things that make you sad or feel frustrated in this first hour of the day. They are not energizing. They're the opposite of energizing, right? Those things drain energy. So if the people who you live with are uplifting to you, then you want to build time with them into the first hour of your day. That's not true for everybody, unfortunately. So if the people who you live with drain you and they do not make you feel uplifted and energized, then you have to beat them to being awake. So you need to get up earlier than everyone else so that you can insulate your energy before you engage with them. Pay extra attention to this if you are in a situation where the people around you drain you, where it's not energizing to be around them. That is not a long-term sustainable environment that you want to be in. But when you're in it, you want to be able to protect and insulate your energy before you engage with other people, okay? Same thing with work. If the people in your workplace do not uplift and energize you, do not open your work email first thing in the morning. That when you really have control over. So if you're going to let that influence in within that first hour, it's like you don't have your bearings yet to be able to withstand it. So protecting your energy early in the day is about physically energizing yourself. So we talked about the water, exercise, a cold to cool shower, even briefly. Those are all things that physically are going to energize you. Time with people you love or uplifting content, something that you read or watch or listen to, could be very energizing. And then also this avoidance of friction and conflict, okay? So you want to sort of be bounding into the day full of life, remembering what's possible. And when you do that, guess how your day is going to go? It's like a force field against interference. So when the first negative stimulus comes in, whatever it is, it's the email from an angry colleague or client or customer, or manager, or it's something you read in the news that's unsettling to you, or it's something you see in social media that spikes envy, or it's something that's happening in your house that's frustrating to you. Before any of that happens, you've had an opportunity to really set the tone that your energy is going to be positive and it's going to be high for the day. Okay, so that's the third one. So we talked about clarity and then integrity. And now we covered energy. And here's the fourth one. And this is probably the very most important, and it will actually take a little more time. The fourth one is belief. Okay, so the fourth sort of anchor that you want to put down early in the morning is your belief. Your beliefs are actually what govern your thoughts. Okay. And then here's how the wheel goes. Your thoughts then govern your actions, and your actions govern your results. So if you want to change your results or you want to affect your actions, you have to start with your beliefs. The point of this is your mindset, all of our mindset, is actually pretty fragile. And if it's left unchecked, our thoughts kind of run wild. Right? And those thoughts, they're largely governed by our beliefs. So if you have a belief system that is not serving you well, and I'm not talking about like your religious beliefs or your political beliefs. What I'm talking about here is, statements that you repeat over and over to yourself as though they were the truth, but there's no absolute truth in them. They are a belief. I'm trying to think of what a good example is. Like, it's really hard to be successful as an entrepreneur would be a belief. There's not an absolute fact attached to that. There are people who have a different belief that it's not hard to be a successful entrepreneur. But if every day you're trying to grow a business and you wake up saying, it is just so hard to be successful as an entrepreneur, that's a belief that you're kind of marinating in, right? And then what does it do? It governs all kinds of thoughts. Oh my gosh, this client is never going to say yes. This prospect they're probably going to say no. I'm not going to have enough people, in the pipeline to talk to. Oh my gosh, how am I going to pay all these bills that are coming in? This business might not make it. Those thoughts could be running over and over and over again through your mind. And when those are the thoughts that are running through your mind, what are the actions that you're taking? Well, you're probably curling up in a ball in the corner, right? That those thoughts do not make me want to leap out of my chair and take really inspired action, right? Because why bother if it's going to be so hard and it's never going to work? And so when you don't take those actions, it's sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy and you never get the results. So in the morning, this first hour of the day is a really awesome time to reshape your beliefs, to really confront patterns of thoughts that are not serving you well and start to reshape them. So you can't necessarily control a random thought from, floating into your head, but you can intentionally reshape your beliefs. And if you do that, you do this every day in that first hour of the day with the beliefs that you actually want to hold. So what would be the alternative? In my example, running a business is an incredible adventure. If you put value in the world, it's pretty easy to be successful. That's an alternative belief that you could adopt that might drive an entirely different set of thoughts and therefore actions and therefore results. So you need to reset these every day because what happens is the unhelpful beliefs sneak back in, right? They sneak back in like almost overnight. Sometimes they sneak back in the middle of the day. And so you need to reset every single day with the beliefs that you are choosing to hold until they stick, okay? If you go even one day without specifically working on this and addressing this, it can really cause trouble. I know it does for me. I can backslide into fear and doubt faster than you can snap your fingers, right? If I am not committed to reminding myself of what are the beliefs that I'm choosing to hold. And sometimes there's really long-standing patterns, everybody, that we've been holding on to because we were taught them when we were very young, or we observed them, or we picked up these catchphrases and they stuck in our brain and they took root and they became beliefs. And then we don't even know they're beliefs anymore. We just think they're true. We think that's how the world works. And until you really start to ask yourself, what is underneath this thought pattern? What is underneath this series of actions that I keep taking or not taking? And kind of unwind it all the way back to the beliefs, you won't necessarily get different results, okay? So the idea here is to have a series of statements in the morning, in this first hour of the morning, that anchors you into your beliefs. This can be as simple as one sticky note on the mirror that is something you really need to get into your head. It can be a journal that you keep next to your bed that has a few things you want to remind yourself of. It can be reading other people's words that are really grounded in beliefs that you want to hold. I think this is a lot of what we like about Instagram. Instagram is a great place for us through Brilliant Balance to share statements that, they deeply resonate. People are like, that is the truth I want to believe. So the more we put those statements in front of ourselves and internalize them, the more likely we are that those are going to give birth to thoughts, and that those thoughts are going to drive the actions and the result that we really truly want. So that first hour of the day is magical. It needs to anchor you into those four things, into clarity. What am I going to do today? How do I want to feel? Who am I going to be? Then integrity, that you're actually going to do and feel and be those things. It needs to anchor you into the energy that you want to have for the day, which is a positive, vibrant energy that you want to carry forward. And then as a belief system. What are the beliefs that you're going to carry with you into this day that will almost effortlessly give you, the thoughts and the actions that are of the most use to you? So you can't just wake up and start wandering around, deciding what you might do first, or kind of easing into the day with that, kind of nursing a cup of coffee and wondering what could I do today? What am I going to get accomplished? You don't really want to let that waste this really precious opportunity that we get every morning to come into the game, with our A game. And all it takes is one bad email. All it takes is one news headline to just throw us off course. If you haven't insulated yourself from that, kind of garbage, it's game over. So if you miss this chance, then it's hard to recover from it, throughout the rest of the day. Your whole day can go sideways and you'll wonder what happened. I've certainly done that plenty of times, right? I've missed that window and I end up like sort of curled up in a chair with my phone and my coffee. And it can be a while before you realize what happened. But when I'm serious about setting the stage from the get-go, the whole day unfolds with an entirely different, energy. So that's what I want you to do. I want you to claim that first hour as yours. And then look out, world. Let's see what you can do. You ready to take that on? I think it's going to be extraordinary. I'm really excited to hear how this unfolds for you. And I think it's a good time to do it because the next time we're together, we're going to sort of layer on top of that energy that we're creating here for the day and talk about how you can feel more calm and more in control every single day. Okay? So we're going to get the day off to a good start, and then we're going to teach you how to stay calm and in control, kind of no matter what's coming at you throughout the day. Sound good? Awesome. So listen, everybody, as I wrap this up, keep sharing the podcast. I am so delighted by how you are passing this on to friends. And I know that's really easy to do. You can do it through iTunes or Stitcher or YouTube or wherever you're listening to this. You can just take that link and send it to a friend. You can post it in your social media feeds. But we are getting great comments from people who are saying, oh, my friend told me to listen to this, or my physician told me to listen to this podcast, or, a teacher at my child's school suggested that I listen to this podcast. It's really been kind of fun to hear who's handing it off to whom and why. So take 5 or 10 seconds and do that for somebody that you care about. The circle is wide enough for all of us, so I would really appreciate your efforts in passing it on. And that is it for today, everyone. Until next time, let's be brilliant.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.